Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. So I had some requests for a second video about my most beautiful classic books. If you want to take a look at the first one, I will link that down below. Those are really the top most beautiful, I think, in my collection, but here are a few more for those of you who wanted to see. So I'm going to start out with one that is really popular. I bet some of you already have this book. It's an easy one to find, but it really is a gorgeous copy of a classic, and that is Edgar Allan Poe's Classic Stories. This is one that you can find at just Barnes & Noble. And I love the detail on it with the quotation on the back and the heart, and even the floorboards there. If you know Edgar Allan Poe, then the telltale heart has that, the narrator hearing the heart beating under the floorboards. So it's just a gorgeous Gothic looking book. Those are the end papers. So yes, lots of lovely details there. So that is the first. The next one is also not a very old book, though most of the ones that I'm going to present today are part of my old book collection, many of which I already showed you. Now, this one does not look like much on the front. It even has a pen mark here. The back is lovely, but here's the reason that I chose King Arthur and His Knights by Sir James Knowles, illustrated by Louis Reed, as one of my most beautiful. Not only does it have the uneven edges, but just look at the typeface itself. It's gorgeous. Look at the detail there. But it also is illustrated beautifully with these color paintings. I mean, look at that page spread. That should sell it. It's a beautiful book, and not one that I appreciate as often as I should, to be honest. I was looking for more to include in this video, and I was perusing some of the ones that I don't look at very often, and this stood out to me. I thought, wow, I need to share that one. So King Arthur and His Knights. Okay, now we're looking at some old books. This one, this little beauty, is The Merry Wives of Windsor. It is published upside down, which is typical of some countries outside of the US. Rather than having it say The Merry Wives of Windsor this way, this is correct. This is the front, this is the side. And this one is from 1895 or thereabouts. And it's one of those that has not only a picture, but also one of the tissue paper protectors as well, to make sure that everything's protected, even for the front piece there, which is lovely. It's not only in all black, but it has some black and red. So just a beautiful little edition of Shakespeare for you there. Of course, Shakespeare, right? Okay, next I have St. Mark's Rest by John Ruskin. John Ruskin is a name that a lot of people don't know these days, but he was a very famous Victorian writer at the time who did a smattering of a lot of things, including literary criticism, art criticism. He really was focused on art and architecture, so you'd think maybe he wouldn't be a literary sensation, but his writing, his prose, is freakishly good. So this one is from 1909, and it's lovely as well. St. Mark's Rest, it's about a trip that he took to Venice and some of the architectural features and cultural commentary that he discovered there. So this one is quite lovely as well. So turn of the century edition. He shares exactly what he finds, including a few small illustrations here and there. All right, next up in the old book collection, there is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which is my favorite of the Sherlock Holmes short story collections. I've read them all, and Adventures is rightly the most famous. Not only does it have a lovely spine with some It's not gilding in it, but it is a little bit more golden inside. But the front has this lovely engraved tree. This one is from 1924, so it's not quite as old as some of the others that I've shared on this channel, but it's a wonderful addition, and it's kind of cool because it's almost embossed. You can feel how the words were pressed into the page. I don't know if you probably can't see that, but unlike just sitting on top of the page, it actually goes in a little bit. So that's a cool feature on at least some of the pages, which you get in some old books, but not a ton. All right, next up there is Emerson's Essays. That is Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a little crazy, but very quotable. So I loved his stuff after I studied it in high school. I haven't read it a ton since, of course, a little bit in college when I studied English, but this one is from 1894. So this one is a bit reminiscent of the Charles Dickens book that I showed you guys last time. It's the same kind of rusty color, the same red and gold, and then the lovely detail there as well. This one also has that sort of pressed on feature to it. You can see there are huge margins and the pages were pretty much just pressed on. So that is quite nice. Most of these I acquired when I was in college-ish. I haven't gotten that many old books recently. This one I really love. It is not in quite as good of shape. There's a big chunk taken out here, but this is John Keats poetry, and I love John Keats. He's one of my favorite poets. His whole story is so tragic and his words are so beautiful and melancholy. So this one I very much like. The spine is not a ton to write home about, but it is very nice. The front has this tree with some gilding on it, and then the pages are gilded as well. So there's gold. You can see the gold on the top, but it's worn away on the side. This one is from, it's 1890 something. Whoops. This is why I always need to check ahead of time. It's another 1895. And this one just has all of his works. This one also, the pages aren't quite as stiff as some of the others. Some of the other books, it's hard to even turn the pages, and this one has the sort of Bible floppiness to it, which is nice for actually reading all of Keats's works. Okay, and then last but not least, this is another one that I had regularly, sadly, overlooked when I initially was thinking, which beautiful books should I share with you in the first video. This one is Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, and as you can see, it's a little beat up. It's not in perfect shape or anything, but it has all of this embossing and engraving. All of this is embossed. It's all raised up. It's kind of hard to see with this light. And then the front has all these beautiful patterns. It just continues on around the front. This one is from the 1880s. It looks like 1889. And it's the same kind of thing. It's the pressed on pages. It's the tiny print. And it's the entire story of Robinson Crusoe in this just gorgeous edition. Look at the detail there. It's hard to see. There. Let's focus. Can it focus? It can't. There are wave-like patterns even in the margins there. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. I have even more. There was one that came to mind that's actually at my parents' house. I let them hang on to it, after I moved out a long time ago, because it was just such a lovely decoration, and it was so huge that I didn't have room for it at the time, and it's just stayed there. But it's this complete works of Shakespeare. It's humongous. It's illustrated. It has kind of a puffy cover to it. But yeah, so there you go, some more gorgeous classics. I really like old books, and I'm glad that I have the privilege to have so many in my collection. So what are some of your favorite books? Do you have something that you've never seen anybody else have? Share it below in the comments, and like this video if you like it. Subscribe for more English nerdy goodness, and I will see you next week.